My dear friends, brothers and sisters across the world, it is I, Nelson Mandela, speaking to you from the depths of history's lessons and the enduring spirit of humanity. Though my physical journey ended years ago, the principles of reconciliation, justice, and Ubuntu, belief that I am because we are, continue to guide us all. Today, I have been drawn to a pressing issue emerging from the vast and diverse lands of America. A video circulating from a perspective rooted in Africa highlights the growing frustrations among white farmers who are now confronting the stark economic and policy repercussions of decisions made during the MAGA era. These individuals, who once rallied behind certain political promises with great fervor, are now grappling with the harsh disconnect between rhetoric and reality. They express bewilderment at the perceived silence from other communities, particularly the black community, as their own livelihoods face threats from falling crop prices, inflation, and dismantling of supportive programs. Allow me to delve deeper into this problem, illuminating it through the lens of my own experience, is in the fight against apartheid in South Africa. This situation is far more than a simple economic dispute or a matter of agricultural policy. It is a profound symptom of long-standing societal divisions, entrenched racism, and the unaddressed scars of history that continue to fester. For generations, the black community in America has endured systemic injustice, that echo the oppressions I witnessed and battled in my homeland, from the brutal chains of slavery and the dehumanizing laws of segregation to ongoing challenges like police brutality, mass incarceration, and economic marginalization. They have raised their voices time and again, calling for equity, for recognition of their humanity, and for shared prosperity. Yet, these cries have often been met with indifference, denial, or outright hostility from segments of society that have benefited from the privileges afforded by the existing order. Now, in this moment, the dynamics shift. Those who supported policies aimed at making America great again, policies that many perceived as reinforcing white supremacy, targeting immigrants through deportations, eroding social safety nets, and exacerbating divides, find themselves ensnared by the very consequences of those choices. Tariffs inflate costs, labor shortage is a rise from mass deportations, and vital programs, such as those funded by acts once criticized as socialist handouts, are being cut, leaving farms on the brink of collapse. In their distress, these farmers and their supporters turn expectantly toward the black community, questioning the absence of vocal solidarity. Where is the support now, they ask, but one must ponder, why the astonishment at this quietude? When black lives were lost to violence, recall the tragic case of George Floyd in 2020, or the historical devastations in places like Tulsa, Oklahoma, where thriving black communities were bombed and razed without recompense. Here was the unified outcry from all corners of society. When calls for reparations or systemic reform were made, they were frequently dismissed or ignored. This selective empathy is the core of the problem. A society fragmented into silos where one group's pain is acknowledged only when it serves another's agenda or convenience. It fosters deep resentment, white farmers feeling isolated and abandoned in their struggles, while black communities remain cautious, protective of their energy after years of unreciprocated advocacy. As voices in the video so eloquently point out, racism is not just a burden on the oppressed, it exacts a heavy toll on everyone involved. It confines white individuals within bubbles of sameness, depriving them of the vibrant perspectives, creativity, and joy that come from genuine diversity and connection. For people of color, it manifests in inherited traumapigenetic echoes of suffering that affect mental, emotional, and physical well-being across generations. Even within political spectrums, hypocrisy abounds. Some white liberals, while professing allyship, perpetuate subtle racisms through lowered expectations or policies that maintain underclasses for labor exploitation. And among MAGA adherents, the vote to preserve perceived supremacy now backfires, leading to realizations encapsulated in phrases like FOFO, finding out the hard way through self-inflicted consequences. Moreover, this extends beyond farms to broader societal threats, such as challenges to birthright citizenship, a constitutional cornerstone, or the dehumanizing treatment of immigrants snatched from streets, leaving children adrift. These actions harken back to dark chapters: Muslim bans, birther conspiracies, refusals to rent to black tenants, or defenses of white nationalists. The underlying aim, as some observe, seems to be reshaping America into a vision dominated by one demographic, at the expense of inclusivity. Yet in this cycle of division, no one truly wins. The cage of whiteness, as described, limits human potential for all, turning power into isolation. But let us not dwell solely in the shadows of despair, for I have learned through 27 years in prison and the subsequent rebuilding of a nation that hope lies in transformation. This is not an invitation to gloat over misfortunes or deep entrench is of separation. Instead, it is a call to bridge the chasms that divide us. Division, like the apartheid I fought, is the ultimate oppressor. It keeps us all in bondage, preventing collective progress. What then is the path to resolution? It must begin with a commitment to true unity, forged not in convenience but in mutual respect and shared humanity. First and foremost, education is key. To white communities, heed the advice to listen more and speak less. Immerse yourselves in the full tapestry of American history, the atrocities of slavery, including experiments on black bodies without anesthesia, lynchings turned into public spectacles with souvenirs, and the systemic barriers that persist today. Recognize white privilege not as a personal attack, but as a societal reality that, once confronted, liberates you from shallow existence and opens doors to richer relationships. Cultivate empathy by imagining the weight of ancestral trauma that makes low-wage fieldwork feel like a step backward into painful history rather than mere employment. To black communities, your strategic silence is a testament to resilience, a boundary set after exhaustive efforts. Yet, where it aligns with your strength, consider dialogues that model the forgiveness I extended in South Africa, not forgetting the past, but using it to educate and build alliances. As I often said, resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. Forgiveness frees the forgiver as much as the forgiven. To all Americans regardless of race, background, or political affiliation, initiate courageous conversations. Establish community forums, town halls, and cross-cultural exchange is where personal stories are shared without defensiveness. Tackle the roots of inequality through collective action. Advocate for reparations to heal historical wounds. Push for equitable education systems that elevate rather than segregate. Demand fair wages that dignify labor instead of exploiting vulnerability, and protect fundamental rights like birthright citizenship. Engage in peaceful protests and, if necessary, organize strikes to disrupt unjust systems, as suggested in calls to shut the country down. Until change occurs, but always in unity, amplifying diverse voices. Remember, politicians may prioritize their own agendas, but the power of the people, when united, is unstoppable. Draw from global examples. In South Africa, we formed the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to air grievances and foster healing. America could adapt similar mechanisms to address racial and economic divides. Vote not for divisive figures or identity politics that pit groups against one another, but for policies that uplift everyone, ending mass incarceration, reforming immigration with humanity, and investing in sustainable agriculture that benefits all farmers. In the end, as I reflected in my long walk to freedom, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Let us choose love over hate, unity over division. Envision an America as a rainbow nation, where fields flourish through cooperation, communities thrive in mutual support, and no one is left behind. It may seem daunting, but as I always believed, it always seems impossible until it's done. Thank you, my friends. May peace, justice, and solidarity guide your steps.